What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Double A Hef here. So I got another video featuring none other than Roland Martin. This guy he's at it again. But what I will say is this particular interview, the guy that he's interviewing, I've never heard of until obviously I watched this, and I watched this for the first time today. And this guy, he has a lot of the same ideas that I have. But he's actually put a lot of it to task already down in Georgia, which you're gonna find out once I play the video. This young man's 21 years old, and he has a good head on his shoulders already. So I'm super excited, super happy about the news. I do have a cousin down south, and I'm pretty sure he was in the Georgia area, and he was telling me about things, kind of like what this young man is doing down there. So it's actually good to hear it from other sources. It's good to know that, we do have some people out here. Well, obviously, I do know that we have people out here with, I don't want to say like right-minded, but understand what we're living in and understand the best way to go about changing our reality. And I say it all the time, there's a lot of issues that we have in the quote-unquote black community that aren't top 10, They're just not top 10. And, oftentimes, especially in my own family, I hear people always talking about, gotta vote. Like, listen, man, like, first and foremost, if you vote only once every 4 years, then don't talk to me or don't talk to anyone about voting. Because you're a sheep. You're literally being shepherded to the ballot box every 4 years. If you're not voting for anything else, if you don't know what's going on in your own community, you haven't done a community outreach. You haven't done a community voted for like a councilman or your own mayor or freaking a freeholder or anything like that. If you don't even know what those terms are, and you shouldn't be going around talking about voting, because obviously you don't know enough about it. You don't know enough about it as a whole. And because obviously if you did, you would understand that that's I don't want to say the last thing we need to be talking about as quote unquote black people. But it's definitely down towards the bottom. It's definitely not a pressing matter. Voting, it's not. And obviously, I'm going to play this video. They're going to talk more about it. But I'm just going to give my 2 cents now. It's really not something that we should be focusing on right now. And I've said this before in videos past. That's why I'm saying it again now, prior to me playing the video. And that's because when you vote for people to do what you want them to do, right? In the black community, we vote for people and they don't do what we want them to do, right? Well, first and foremost, before we even get to that part, we vote for people and we don't even know what we want them to do. Because if you ask the quote unquote black community, you're going to get mixed answers on what should be done. So that's already, an issue that we need to be tackling before we even get to voting. What the fuck do we actually want? You know what I mean? Like if you're playing Family Feud, if you ever watch Family Feud, they all come together and then they agree upon an answer, and then the one person says the answer. You know what I mean? It's not like Steve Harvey says, okay, Johnson family, what do you think? And you hear all 5 of them shouting out different fucking answers. That's not how it works. And they all come together, they say, okay, this, and then that's what goes forth. All right, it's tried and tested. It's very simple way of going about things. But as I said, the black community, we're not at that point yet. So that's another reason why we shouldn't be talking about voting just yet. 2, we don't have the power to hold the people that we vote into offices accountable. I'll say that again. We don't have the power to hold the people we put in office accountable. So what that means is once we do vote for people and they do get in office, if they don't do what we tell them to do or what they say they're going to do for us, there's no course of action that we have to freaking get them out of there, because we don't have any power. And that power comes from the community. The black community is literally torn to fucking bits and pieces. It's run amok. So there's no unity. So without unity, you can't have a community. You know what I mean? So it was pretty self-explanatory. So on top of that, we don't have any money. We don't have any spending power, as a whole, as a group. And I've said this, you've heard it hundreds and hundreds of times before, I'm sure. But I'll keep saying it. We have to keep talking about this shit. These are the things that we should keep talking about. Not voting, not fucking, George Floyd getting killed or Breonna Taylor. Like, no, what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to be wasting our time talking about shit like that. We need to be talking about shit that we can control and that we need to control sooner rather than later, which is we don't control any of our spending. We literally spend money in the quote-unquote black community and businesses that aren't owned by the quote-unquote black community. So then that money goes right back out of the community. It doesn't stay in the community. That money does nothing for the community. Nothing. So that's literally the reality of it. We need to change that. Once we have the money in the community and we have that unity, then we say, look, we're going to vote you and you're going to do this. If you don't do this, we're going to get you the fuck out. And how? Because now we have money. Now we could run someone else against you. And now we can fund their campaign. And that's it. Then that person's out. Period. But without money, without unity, it'll never fucking happen. That's why these politicians all the time just pay lip service. But, I've been talking enough. I want to get to this video because it's actually a lot of going on. And this young brother says a lot of great things. And obviously, freaking Roland's going to do what Roland does.
Be sure to join our...
Oh, and by the way, excuse me, I'm outside on my patio today. It's beautiful. So if you hear like birds and shit like that, or if you've heard it already, that's what it is. I'm not in a fucking zoo. I'm on my patio.
Bring the Funk Fan Club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our...
If you don't shut the fuck up.
You can make this possible. Joining us right now is King Randall, founder of the X for Boys organization based out of Georgia. So, King, explain why in the world you're conservative, correct?
Yes, sir.
So please explain to me why this bill, why Republicans are pushing for a voter suppression bill when last year we saw record turnout in Georgia, record turnout. So why would they want to restrict voting when you just had record turnout in Georgia?
Well, let me start off by saying you had me mistaken. I'm not a Republican. I do consider myself conservative.
No. Actually, I didn't say Republican. I said you're conservative.
Okay.
I said you're conservative.
Right, absolutely.
That's what I said.
Right. Yeah, I was saying that because you called me a Republican on Twitter. However, with this particular bill, I don't consider voting my particular fight. I do consider voting an asset to us and maybe something we can use as a tactic to help. But as far as us pushing voting all the way out, like voting is going to be some systemic change for the black community, to me is not the way to go.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Probably because I've said it just like that myself many times before. And again, I'm not the only person, and obviously he's not the only person. And there are a lot of people out there that have said that. But that is the reality of it. Voting can be an asset, yes. But only when you have, with great power comes great responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And the quote-unquote black community as a whole, we're not there yet. That's the reality. We are not there yet. We have to get a lot of prerequisites in order before, we start, focusing on actually voting people in. And again, I stated about we don't have the power to hold these people accountable. And also, we don't even have the power to vote for who we want to vote for. Shouldn't we be talking about that too? Like the fact that we got to vote for fucking people, like when they already get there, they already got through the whole process. They already went through everything. And now at the end, you're voting for that person. At the end? How about you vote for the person that you want to vote for? If you get what I'm saying, you vote for the person from the beginning. You put them in place, and then you vote for them all the way through. But again, you have people like Roland Martin. I'm gonna let him speak for himself.
If you look at the human anatomy of the body has its many different parts, and I do respect you guys' fight, in regards to voting, but I don't consider myself fighting for the right to vote that much.
Do you not vote?
We hadn't got anything.
Do you not vote?
Government. Yes, sir. I vote absolutely.
Okay, so when you...
So let me answer that question for myself. So do I vote? I voted my whole life. For those of you who know, I went to school for political science. I had aspirations to go into politics, local politics, and then I dreamed of one day going to like state assembly or House of Representatives. Something like that. That was my dream when I was younger, and obviously when I was in college and stuff like that. So I voted many times in my life on all the levels. And this, I stopped voting about, what year? 2021? In like 2018, I stopped voting. I haven't voted since 2018. So, yeah. And the reason why is what I already stated before. I don't see the reason to vote. We have bigger fucking fish to fry. We have things that are of higher priority at the moment. So that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Say you guys' fight. First of all, there are multiple fights, there are multiple issues we could be concerned about. Voting is one of those issues. Are you not concerned that Republicans in your state are trying to restrict access to the ballot for no reason other than they are pushing the lie that Donald Trump also pushed?
Right, absolutely. I understand exactly what you're saying. However, again, that's not my fight. I believe.
No. I asked you a question. And the question is this here: do you believe Republicans in your state are wrong to be pushing this voter suppression bill?
Can you give me the list of things that's all on the bill? Because I know you said the voter ID.
Well, no. Here's a perfect example. This particular bill right here gets rid of no excuse absentee balloting. Republicans in Georgia passed no excuse absentee balloting 15 years ago, thinking it was going to help them. They're angry because you had people who.
So what Roland is saying is that, down in Georgia, 15 years ago, they passed this bill to make it easier for their constituents to get out and vote. And then now he's saying that now they're trying to repeal it because it worked against them. Now, is that an issue? Yes, that's an issue. Obviously, it's an issue. That's pretty apparent. But again, we have to go back to prioritizing things. And again, it doesn't matter because we have no control over anything up until that point. So why are we focusing on shit like that? I can't. I don't understand. I don't understand, man. I really just don't understand how people, like I said, people on my timelines, people on social media, people in my family. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. Talking about some shit that literally that's not our saving grace. You know what I mean? And Roland, since Roland's on the topic of bad practices done by government officials by trying to repeal a law that they put in place because it's not suiting them, well, why don't I hear him talking about gerrymandering? We all know what gerrymandering is, right? We all know that it exists and it still goes on. What about filibustering? What about all these other holes that we have in our system that literally get exercised time and time again? Why aren't we talking about those things too while you're at it, Roland? I've never heard you once speak about that. I'm not saying that you haven't. I'm just saying I've never heard you speak about it. And, I think that you should be speaking about shit like that. I've never heard Roland Martin speak about the Electoral College and about how, your vote doesn't actually count. Like that the superdelegate doesn't have to go through with what he or she's supposed to do. So, for instance, say the superdelegates of New York, everyone's like, oh, we know we're going to vote for Biden. He don't have to. They don't have to vote for Biden because they have a vote. Superdelegates are the ones that actually vote. They're supposed to vote, obviously, like along the lines of what they're being told, but they don't. There's no law stating that they have to. So why don't we talk about stuff like that? Like make the vote actually count. Tie them to that. I'd much rather talk about that than talk about what Roland Martin's talking about right now. I still rather talk about other pressing issues that we have as opposed to voting in general. But, since we're on the topic, just throwing it out there.
Voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and also John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock won. So they're changing the law because they're angry they lost at the ballot box. But for 14 years, it was fine until last year. Is that, again, do you consider that to be egregious on the part of Georgia Republicans? Why would they change the law because they lost? How about making a better argument for the voters?
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you. I'm not against you there. I definitely think that is an issue that I believe you guys could fight. But that, again, voting is not my issue to fight. I believe.
So what's your issue to fight?
You see how mad Roland is getting? This guy Roland's getting mad. So what's your issue to fight? Like, Roland, I think he made himself very clear. Very, very clear. He agrees with what you're saying and understands that, yes, those are issues. Just like I said, those are issues, you know? Those are issues. But those issues pale in comparison to the greater issues that we have. And this guy, King Randall, as with myself, would prefer to focus our energy on the greater issues. That's it.
My issue, I fight for young black men before they die. And that's what I do in my organization. I do
And that's a great thing.
teach them to vote, but I don't tell them that voting is going to be the be all end all.
No one says the be all the end all, but it's a part of it.
And you'll hear that a lot. What Roland just said. No one says this is the end all be all. No one says it's the end all be all. Like, I got people in my family, same shit, all over Facebook, same shit. But you gotta understand something. When that's all the fuck you're talking about, you know, that's what you're putting all your energy on. Now you can say that it's not the end all. Excuse me, it's not the end all and be all for you, but your actions are saying a different thing. Period. That's the reality. All right, so you can say whatever the fuck you want that it's not the end all be all, but you're acting like it is. Okay. Because you're literally directing so much energy and resources towards it that, you know what, if it's not the end all be all for you, then that's misutilization of your resources and your energy. So maybe you need to go back and reevaluate, you know, how you're going about things, so that way you can actually do what you're trying to do in a much more efficient and proficient way.
But you guys promote voting like it's just gonna change like the systemic outlook of
Exactly
the black community. That's not where it's at. We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So okay,
exactly, do for self. I appreciate it all the time, and I'm talking to the quote unquote black man majority. My channel is for the quote unquote black man. You know, again, other demographics, you can come listen to my channel. There's nuggets of information that you're going to get and that you can take back to your life and apply it, of course. But let the record state, I'm speaking to a certain demographic. You know, like, that's what I care about. I care about my people first and foremost. And other groups of people, y'all should care about your fucking people first and foremost. That, you know, and most of y'all already do. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. But it just so happens that the quote unquote black community doesn't. And that's something that I'm trying to help change. You know, we have to put ourselves first. Like for instance, Donald Trump said, you know, he's going to put America first, make America great again. That same motto, we need to put that same motto into play in the quote unquote black community. Period, man. We need to make the black community great again. The quote unquote black community great again, and we need to put black first.
so define do for self.
When I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets.
Well, let me stop you right there. So you should never be a fan, and that's something that Chronicles of Judah 144 on YouTube. Go check out his page. He has a lot of great material, but he says this a lot, and it's true. You know, you shouldn't, be a fan of any fucking thing, all right? Especially not of any man. You know, you're not supposed to idolize, idol worship. So that's, but he did say he was a fan, so it's good to know that he's no longer a fan. But then again, why the fuck were you a fan of Roland Martin? You know what I'm saying? Even before I knew not to be a fan, I was still never a fan of Roland Martin. There was, there was nothing he was saying that, I don't know. Teach his own, whatever.
When I said black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities, you shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that statement at all.
So when you say do for self, like what? Mm-hmm. Explain that. Okay, for example, here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self, and I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skilled trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany.
Ooh. Well, first of all, that's everything he said up until this point, amazing. Jesse Lee Peterson voice, amazing. It's amazing, it's great. I'm happy to hear that. And on top of that, here goes the fucking dog. On top of that, Umar, you heard what he said, Umar? He said he's 21 and he's He started a school. So I don't know what the fuck you doing, Umar. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Hold on, y'all. I got these dogs barking.
Georgia to combat us being in the government-funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self. Simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young, black, and in America, and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So a question.
Exactly. Thank you, sir. So what he's pretty much saying is that take the victim mentality and fuck that shit. Fuck out of here. You know, we are literally holding ourselves back by preaching this victim mentality and shit like that. Don't get me wrong. Are there some legit hurdles and obstacles in front of quote-unquote black people? Yes. But are you going to sit there and complain about it till the cows come home? Actually, I already know the answer to that question. The answer is yes, because that's what many quote-unquote black people have done for many and many and many years. And as you see, it's gotten us nowhere. You know, so we have to stop talking about the basics all the time. You know what I mean? Like, we just got to we have to elevate above that shit and move on to greater things. You know, we can't keep going back to remedial shit, you know? We all have to be on the same page with the basic shit. The basic shit is we have to put black first. All right? There shouldn't be any more conversations about that, like deep conversations where we gotta have seminars and fucking hour-long videos breaking down like why, like we can't keep doing that. You know, we're wasting time and resources with that. We have to start going on to other things.
Teenagers went and go ahead. Me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're gonna go do it for ourselves, and that's what I believe we need to be doing. I can vote.
Exactly. And when you're doing for yourself, when you're doing stuff like that, like you said, he said he don't care about Donald Trump, Joe Biden. Well, no, why? Because it doesn't matter. What those presidents are going to do, 90% of it isn't really going to affect what he's doing right now. Now, as he grows and what he's doing grows, then yes, he'll get to that point where, you know, it'll be integral for him and all the youth that have now grown up to, you know, invest in politics, you know. But you have to grow that community first. You have to. You don't just go out. Like, for instance, like investing. You don't just go out and start investing. You need to gain knowledge. You need to get to a certain level of knowledge, right, and know what the fuck you're doing. And then you have to have some money. You don't just like go out and start investing. You know, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have enough money, because then what you'll wind up doing is you'll put some money in some stuff and some random stuff, whatever, or you might have even did a little bit of reading on something and you say, I'm just gonna go with that. But then if you don't, you know, you don't have the money and you don't really know what you're doing, you're gonna wind up taking that money back out anyway. Because you don't fuck your whole shit up. You know what I mean? And I see that all the time. There's a lot of people that I know that don't know how to invest. They go and they use it kind of like as a freaking layaway money place. You know, that they're quote unquote investing, but every time I talk to them about their investments, it's like, oh, I had to take that money out. That's not investing. That's not investing. You know, investing is gaining compound interest. That's investing. The only way to do that is to leave it in the market for a prolonged period of time. Not a matter of fucking weeks.
Sure, but nothing's gonna change in our community.
So you went to the juvenile court system. Mm-hmm. Is that not government?
Absolutely.
So when you say purchased a school, and this school is gonna be what? Private school, charter school? What kind of school is it gonna be?
No, it will be independently owned. This will not be funded by the government.
No, that's why I asked you. So it's gonna be a private school.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a boarding school.
A boarding school. And then for the folks to be able to afford to send their kids to the boarding school, what kind of mechanisms are they using in Georgia? Their own funds? Are they using school vouchers? What are they using?
I can't hear you. Say that again for me.
I said, what mechanism are they using to send their kids there to pay for the school? Their own money, or are they utilizing vouchers from the Georgia government?
Absolutely. So for our school, we're financed completely by donors. We have many donors that have given yearly endowments to our school that will be able to pay for these students to come to our school for free. Many people believe in our mission, and we're making sure that young black men, where we live, where we don't have any rehab programs for juvenile offenders to even get out of jail and stay out of jail. We have people that believe in our mission that are trying to send children to the Expo Boys for free. We have many people that are trying to send kids to this boarding school to be able to take care of themselves. That's what I mean.
And that's amazing. So he's getting money from donors to send the kids to school for free. This guy, Umar, is getting money from donors to quote-unquote get the school open.
By doing for self, we got to simply get up and do it.
So you don't believe that government policymakers play any role whatsoever in being able to impact the lives of black boys and others in Georgia?
He never said that. So what you're doing right now, Roland, is you're being facetious, because he never once said that. So to answer that question, of course, government plays a part in all of our lives in one way, shape, or form. You know, that's just the reality of it. But you don't need the government to do a lot of things. And a lot of the issues that the quote-unquote black community has, we don't need the government to fix. Now, for instance, a lot of you brothers might be out there thinking about like, well, welfare is destroying the black community. And to that, I will say, yes, that is true. But think about it. There's a few ways you can go about attacking welfare, right? You can say, all right, we're going to go tell the politicians to repeal welfare. We don't want welfare anymore, yada, yada, yada. Then you obviously know that's going to be tough, because the Democrats aren't going to like that, because that assures them votes, you know, every term. So you're going to have to fight that, you know, just to get that done, right? Number one. Number two, you can approach it from this way. Yeah, we can tell them to take it away, but we can also take accountability as men, because the people that get welfare majority of the time are single mothers, right? So if we as men stop creating single mothers, and I'm not sitting here saying like, you know, some of these women ain't crazy. No, don't get me wrong. Yes, that's true. But at the end of the day, we have to do a better job at selecting who the fuck we lay down with, you know, period. You know, we have to take accountability and ownership on that. Like if you lay down with a fucking $2 hoe and you had a baby by a $2 hoe, now you're not with her no more, and like you realize that, you know, she is, you know, levels beneath you, and that you're at a higher level, then you fucked yourself, dude. You know, because that was your decision. So no matter everything that comes from that, you deserve. So if we select better women, a few things are gonna happen. We'll probably wind up marrying these women and having more kids being born into marriages and not single parent households. One. Two, the women that are still acting a fool out there, they're going to see like, oh shit, I'm going to have to act right, because like niggas ain't going for that shit no more. You know what I'm saying? Boom. And then now you don't got to worry about welfare no more. Want to know why? Because you worried about yourself. You put quote unquote black first. You put you first. You see that? And then that way you were able to cut out the government. Period. We have more control than we think. We have way more control than we think. To control our situation as a quote unquote black community, we have way more control than we think. And all we have to do to start wielding that control is making better decisions on a day-to-day basis. Period.
If we take them out of that government system, we don't have to worry about that. I keep saying.
How is that? Hold up. Here's the question. Mm-hmm. How do you remove someone out of a government system when we all live in government systems?
I kind of really just told you how to do it. But anyway, let this guy answer.
Okay, being literal, absolutely we all live in a government system. Absolutely. However, you can do things to remove most government from your life.
How?
As far as trying to get yourself out of food stamps,
How?
trying to get yourself off of welfare. You got to go work. You got to get jobs. You got to get out here and go and do it.
So hold up. So I'm just curious. So if somebody doesn't have a job, are they not applying to government for unemployment benefits or insurance?
Yeah, that happens. But you also have to understand something. If someone doesn't have a job, they need to go get a job. What, are you going to remain jobless? You know? And number two, let's not let the exception be the rule. You know, I feel like I'm saying this more and more lately, but a lot of people are making these lazy ass arguments where they make this freaking scenario. It's almost an extreme scenario in most cases where like the exception is the rule. Like, oh, well, what if this happened? Well, what if there was a guy and he was jobless, and then what about him? Well, look, obviously, the one-offs and the stuff like that, the casualties of war, like for instance, every war people die. We can't start fucking rearranging how war works to fix that or try to adjust that, because that's just what's going to happen. That's just it's the inevitability of it. So the same rules apply. There's just some things that are just going to happen. Like that's just the exceptions. The exceptions are the exceptions. All right, that guy lost his job to no fault of his own, and yada yada, and he has to get another job, and it might take him about 6 months to do that. Then in that interim time, he's going to need some money, and the government's going to be there to help him. All right, okay. But one can also make the argument, if he created his own job, his own business, then he wouldn't be out of a job. Or if he, had trade skills, he'd always have work. So obviously, again, there's always something that we can always go to. If you're thinking about it as a man should, from a three-dimensional level, solution-oriented thinking, then you should always be able to come to multiple, a solution, but multiple solutions on top of that, and different ways that it could go and stuff like that. But we have to train our minds to actually think like that,
Absolutely.
So how can that person remove themselves out of government when that's what government provides?
Absolutely. Well, my thing is trying to make sure you're not allowing the government to finance your whole entire life. As long as you're giving somebody the right to feed you, you're giving them the right to starve you as well. People are.
And I love that. And I'm going to end the video soon. I just wanted to get to that point because I've never heard that before. But I think that's a great line. And I think, obviously, the quote-unquote black community, we living off the teat of the government too much and expect too much. We have to stop being expectant as a people, You can't. You can't wait on others. You got to literally do for yourself. That way it's coming. I'm going to rewind it back.
Absolutely. Well, my thing is trying to make sure you're not allowing the government to finance your whole entire life. As long as you're giving somebody the right to feed you, you're giving them the right to starve you as well. People are living their whole lives off the government systems. It was the day the government decide, well, we're going to cut food stamps, we're going to cut this and cut that. What we going to do? We have people out here living off those systems. So I believe in teaching our people how to go survive without the government. That's my biggest thing.
But again, though, you keep saying,
See, and then Roland's getting all mad. But look, listen, everything that this brother's saying, and he's spot on. All right, so definitely go check him out. Look him up. I think his name is King Randall. He said he's down in Albany, Georgia. Check him out. Look him up. Help him out if you can. Send some dollars, whatever. I'm definitely going to do the same because I love seeing. I will just do the same. And on top of that, before I go, I will say this. I also like that he's not coming from a socialist standpoint where it's like, oh, capitalism is the problem, stuff like that. No, he's saying do for self because apparently he has some understanding of capitalism. And I said this before, is capitalism racist? No, it's not racist. Capitalism, the system, is not racist. Capitalism is about money. As long as you're intuitive, you have some ingenuity, creative, you're a go-getter, self-starter, then you can thrive in capitalism. We live in an age right now where everyone can make it doing something. Obviously not everyone, because I've said that before. There's casualties in war. So there's going to be the people that get uber rich and there's going to be people that get uber poor, and that's just the reality of it. But I will say this, every year there's 1 million more millionaires on the planet. So why can't you be one this year or next year? But with that, I'm out.